than they are, given how popular it is.
Exactly, I agree.
So maybe someone from down under can explain that better than we can.
Yes.
Colin,
I think geography plays a part. I think the sheer size of Australia plays a part in that.
Yeah, but how many people are in Sydney? 6 million people, would you guess?
I don't know.
In the Sydney, like in the
Metro Sydney,
and the within an hour suburb area.
I'm not even sure.
No,
I'm going to Google it.
And about 1 million or so in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Anyway, Colin says, not exactly rugby related, but just wondering if you caught the referee special Neville and Carragher did with football referees. Was an interesting watch and would be good if they did that with rugby referees too. Shows how hard it is for referees in any sport and maybe gives the fans some understanding of what referees are looking at and why they make decisions.
I didn't see it.
No, I didn't watch it.
It's 4.2 million as of 2012.
Right, okay.
In Sydney. But no, I didn't see it. I would like to go back and watch it though, because it sounds like the sort of thing that I would enjoy.
Well, it humanises referees as well when you hear them talk, which I think I support.
Did you see they did something very fleetingly about this time last year, possibly, with one of the referees where you had to decide if it was a try. They'd filmed it at Hull KR, and you saw it from the perspective of the referee, like, they played it at speed, this guy scored a try, you had to judge whether or not it was a try scored or what have you, and you had to make a decision. People will remember it. It was like a YouTube video or a clip that they put up on the Super League website.
I remember that.
And you had to make your decision, and the point of it was to show. I mean, obviously it was publicising Specsavers, but the point of it was also to show that the speed of thought that the referees have to work at. And it was just like a little clip, and you had to make your choice.
I remember a piece on the Footy Show near the start of last year where they went to like the new referees HQ sort of thing and watched them all training and how they ran on treadmills while trying to pick things out on screens in front of themselves. Scoots actually told me they went to a game with a friend of Owen's who was a touch judge.
Right.
And he went through what was happening and what the officials would be doing between each other at certain
I bet that was fascinating.
instances. And she said it was brilliant to get that sort of perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe everyone should do that
once in their lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
And maybe one day all supporters will come to this conclusion that I'm a passionate fan of my team, so it's likely that I'm a little bit more biased than the neutral man in the middle.
I just wish we could have a cake of rainbows and smiles and we could all share it and have a piece. It's not happening, mate.
I wound up a fan on Friday night about that, saying I said, they make wrong decisions, and I thought that decision was wrong too, but I don't think it comes out of inherent bias. No. And I'm sure if you walked over to the South Stand and asked them about the next decision that we said was wrong the other way, they'd be saying the referee's a joke, is biased towards Wigan, trying to get back in the game, blah blah blah.
Justice for Ferris.
No, Tom.
We'll get to that. Right, that's your feedback and shout-outs taken care of. Let's take a look now at news from around the world of rugby league. So to news then from around the world of rugby league, and we'll start at Bellevue, where Wakefield coach Chris Chester has signed a new 2-year deal. Chester is 38 and was appointed Trinity coach last March and guided them to the semi-final of the Challenge Cup and to Super League safety last term. The former Hull KR coach's new deal will see him remain at the club until the end of 2019. The negotiations were very easy and over quite quickly. We both have the same thoughts of how we want the club to progress, said Chester. Stability, decent coach, it's good fit for Wakefield born and bred.
It seems like he's doing a really good job there. He fits the ethos and the pay structure and that sort of thing.
Fits the pay structure, I think, is the key to the phrase there. But yeah, absolutely. Salford Red Devils prop Craig Kopchak has signed a new deal with the Super League side this week. The 30-year-old Wales captain moved to Salford from Huddersfield in 2016 and has also played for Bradford and Halifax. The length of the new deal has not been disclosed, but the club's head coach Ian Watson told their website he is a player who gives 100% every time he goes onto the field. Yeah, he's a solid pro, isn't he, Craig Kopchak?
You're forgiving him now.
No, he's a solid pro in terms of the way he goes about doing his business. I don't think he's a world beater, and I do think he's a Judas prick. But in terms of his performances, he's always a 7 out of 10 for me.
I think he's important to the fabric of that pack. I think he is the sort of mainstay leader of the Salford pack. And whilst there's other people probably performing as well as him around him, I think he sets the tone.
There you go. Okay. Hull KR have signed former England Academy prop Josh Johnson until the end of this season. Johnson is 22 and has been playing in Australia for the Redcliffe Dolphins, who are a feeder club for the Brisbane Broncos. The front rower previously played for Huddersfield and has had stints in the Championship on dual reg with Doncaster, Batley and Oldham. He told the club's official website, "I always fancied going to Australia and I enjoyed it over there. It was a good experience for me, rugby-wise and off the field as well. I've always lived at home, so it took me out of my comfort zone and I'm coming back a better player." Presumably moving back in with his mum then to get his laundry done for him. Leeds halfback Lewis Foster. So go on.
No, I think what's happened is his visa's run out and he couldn't get a paid gig anywhere. But okay, offered one. But
he should just work in a tyre factory like Sean Ainscoe did until his team comes along.
He's got pretty decent. Well, the team has come along, but he's got pretty decent Super League experience when you think about it. Last year he didn't play so much, but the year before he was playing a lot in that Huddersfield team.
A good player. It'll have benefited him a bit of time abroad.
Yeah, adds perspective and that sort of thing.
Absolutely, I think he's a good addition to the KR roster. Right, Lee halfback Lewis Foster has joined Championship side London Broncos on a 1-month loan deal. Foster is 23 and can play at hooker, and has also turned out for Sheffield and Whitehaven so far this season on dual reg. More clubs than Tiger Woods, that kid.
Well, London's got a bit of an injury problem at the moment, so they're trying to fill bodies in those positions, I think.
Yep. Wigan fullback Sam Tompkins has hit a setback in his recovery from injury that could rule him out for a further 2 months. Tompkins is 28 and hasn't played this season due to a broken foot and was expected to return in April, but has been struggling to run with a plate in his foot. Coach Sean Wayne said he tried to run with the plate and he's still struggling, so we're debating whether to take the plate out or not. If that happens, it's 6 to 8 weeks. We're having a chat with the physios and the specialists. What say ye on this?
It's disappointing for Sam Tompkins. It's disappointing to have so much of our star power on the bench, on the sidelines, and not being sure of a timeline for recovery. Did you see the fun April Fools that Serious About RL threw up about Sam Tompkins on Saturday?
I think there was a few knocking about. Go on, which one was this one?
Appearing in Benidorm as
oh yeah. It was his twin brother. That's so... Yes, I did see that one.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't fall for that. Castleford Tigers expect to leave Weldon Road and move into their new Five Towns Park Stadium by 2020, says Chief Executive Steve Gill. Final approval for the £135 million development, which also includes retail and leisure facilities, was granted in September of 2015. The Super League leaders have been based at their current home, The Jungle, for the last 90 years. There's been a lot of work gone in, Gill told the Super League show. The plans were drawn up 4 years ago. Millions of pounds have already been invested, and I think by 2020 it will be in our new stadium. Exciting.
This was one of the topics you covered on your little radio spot.
It was, yes. You would have heard about this had you been tuning into TalkSport Extra Time at 1:45 in the morning. Can I just add, by the way...
Another one that you set them straight on is the next. Go on, sorry.
I did. Just as impressive as I was, which is to say reasonably, I was being put off quite considerably by a young lady who walked in halfway through with meat pie and Doritos on a plate with some salad cream and very little else on. So I had to cope with that whilst I was talking on the radio. So I felt like I did very well indeed, to be perfectly honest with you. But it did take us on to the next piece of news. An investor prepared to invest £35 million in Leeds' Headingley Stadium has been found, the City Council says. Council leader Judith Blake said a previous scheme to fund the work had gone, and now the authority was ready to broker a new deal. The council had withdrawn a £4 million grant from the work, leaving Yorkshire County Cricket Club facing being unable to host international matches after 2019. However, Ms Blake said she is now confident that they have found a way forward. The details of the latest investment are still to be discussed at a meeting of senior councillors in April. Gary Hetherington, Leeds' chief executive, is also set to invest about £5 million and said it was the sort of decision made once... Pardon?
The club are, not Gary Hetherington.
Sorry, how did I read it?
as if Gary Hetherington was given £5 million.
No, sorry, that's my fault. That's my fault for
But what did he say?
Getting ahead of myself. It's something about money. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, he said it's a decision made once every 100 years, and that there was still some work to be done. But
it looks like it's back on track.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it's going to offer him probably more in terms of what they can do with the premises.
Well, that whole sporting hub at Headingley will benefit, won't it?
Yeah.
And that will indirectly benefit the Leeds Rhinos as a third of that sporting hub. A 4-year international rugby league calendar is set to be revealed in the autumn following an RLIF board meeting last week. The plans will include an England tour down under in 2019, as well as an RLIF Nines World Cup. It was also confirmed at the meeting that 16 nations will compete in the 2021 World Cup to be held in England. Regarding the 2021 World Cup qualification format, it was confirmed that all 8 quarter-finalists from this year's World Cup will be awarded places as of right. The 2021 competition will comprise of 7 teams from Europe, 6 from Asia Pacific, 2 from the Americas, and 1 from a playoff series hosted in the Middle East/Africa. The RLIF board has also confirmed its support for an Emerging Nations World Championship to be held in 2018, and that Italy have been recommended for full membership of the RLIF. So a lot of changes afoot in international rugby.
Yeah, and it'll be nice to see the firm calendar set in place in the autumn. It's unclear whether it will be England or Great Britain going down in 2019. I think nines. We've covered nines before. Mm-hmm. I think if you tie that in though to the emerging nation stuff, putting that competition now into its own slot rather than running it sort of around the World Cups is, I think a good step, because it means some of the smaller nations that might compete in the World Cup can compete in the emerging nations World Championships too, to give that more sort of credibility to an extent. Mm-hmm. And give those teams more meaningful international competition to solidify their playing base around, whilst you'll be bringing in more domestic players to those teams you would expect than heritage players that you might see in World Cup competitions or, more senior competitions. So I think it's all positive noises overall.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's good to see strong developments in the international sport. West Tigers have this week announced that Ivan Cleary will take on the role of head coach effective immediately. He will take this role on until the end of the 2020 NRL season. Cleary is 46 and has coached 252 NRL games at the New Zealand Warriors and Penrith Panthers, and was head coach of the 2015 Prime Minister's 13 team, as well as being named the 2014 Dally M Coach of the Year. So strong pedigree coming in at West Tigers.
It's too good a coach to have been sat without a job for the last 18 months or so, whatever it's been. So, good luck to them.
Congratulations to Ivan Cleary. Yes, and finally, Featherstone Rovers officials have confirmed that visa issues are keeping Missy Talapapa from playing for the club. The Rovers' current administration faced challenging circumstances late last year when visas for Talapapa and his teammate Chris Alugia became due for renewal, and oversight by previous administrators at the Big Fella Stadium resulted in both visas expiring. Alugia's visa expired sometime after Talapapa's, meaning his Tier 2 sportsperson visa was granted back in January. However, despite the club working tirelessly with its legal team, Talapapa's Tier 2 sportsperson's visa remains under review with the Home Office.
It's a weird situation to find yourselves in. You would have thought they'd know to wrap that sort of stuff up, and you would have thought Talapapa and his agent would have been on it as much as the club would have been on it.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's
there's too many people who've dropped a ball there, but Talapapa's like 35, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he ain't...
Only in the way that Stanley Jean was 35, who really knows?
The clock's... No,
ticking.
Yeah, the clock's ticking on his career. I think it's... Yeah.
There you go. It's just comedy rugby league, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the situation.
Teams letting us all down by being a bit amateurish and not really helping our cause in the eyes of the wider public.
Yeah.
I would say. But funny at times as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Good old rugby league. Right, that's the news from around the world of rugby league. Let's take a look back now at round 7 of Super League. Okay, so to this week's Rugby League action, and we'll start on Thursday night down at the AJ Bell mark. Big win for Salford, who are flying high now, 22 points to 14 over a hapless St Helens side in front of 3,686 people.
It felt like more watching on TV, didn't it?
Sounded like more, didn't it? There was a good atmosphere.
Anyway, Owen Hughes we start with. Wow, Salford winning a tight, hard